It's tournament time. Welcome back to the Four Seasons. I'm your host, Ken Johnson. And today we're going to be talking about the bass tournament. So, what happened was, the church that I attend, they decided to host a bass tournament. And my wife got talking to me, and she decided that she was going to go ahead and enter my channel and my friend Ricky Wallace's channel, Wallace Knife Works. She's going to enter us in the tournament. So I talked to Ricky about it. He thought it was a good idea. I thought it was a good idea. And we thought, why not? So that was the deal. The rules were, it started at 4 o'clock in the morning, your check-in. From there, you had your invocation around 6:30 or so. Then they let us out. You had a 12-inch minimum. So even though Florida law doesn't require a minimum anymore, we used to have a minimum limit on bass. Not. The tournament had a 12-inch minimum. There was a 5 bass maximum. So even though there's 2 people in the boat and per Florida law, you could have 5 per angler. You could only weigh in 5 bass. So those were really the rules. And it had to be all natural bait, or all artificial baits. So that was that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you the beginning and some of the other stuff, and then I'll cut in and out. So we'll go from there. You can't see it right now, but we're doing all the registration and all that right now for the big bass tournament. These were all the boats out here. Registration started at 4 o'clock in the morning, and at 3 o'clock this morning there's already boats out here. So we got I'd say about 15 boats, some in the parking lot, some in the water. I'm with Ricky Wallace, Wallace Knife Works. So our 2 channels have teamed up. Thank you for my wife paying for our entry fee. We're going to see if we can win this time. Well, folks, it is 6:15. We're going to start heading our way down. All these boats are about to start heading down. And they're going to do a blessing because this church runs bass tournament. And then we're going to take off probably about 6:30, whatever. And then we'll fish until 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock is weigh-in time. It's a 5 bass maximum, 12-inch minimum on the bass. We'll see what we can get done. So, it's hard to see, but there's all the boats. Don't let them kind of get ahead. We're just going to follow along. There's our little boat parade going on right now. See you in a minute. We're waiting to do the big giant send-off, but this is all the people in the boats. Pretty cool. I don't know if y'all can see it or not, but they've already let us go. We did the invocation, and boats are fixing to start blasting off. There's Ricky right there. Alright, you'll see more of him. Yeah. So humble too. to go, folks. Fixing to be a whole lot of crazy on this water. Ricky had caught a jackfish earlier. Of course, I catch a small one. I'm trying to make sure I don't. Well, when they let everybody out, there were some people that didn't want to follow the rules, very beginning, and that tended to be a problem the whole freaking tournament. So there was one that he just blew out, even though you weren't supposed to blow out. You're supposed to idle to a train trestle, and then after that it could blow out. So he just blasted off. The other thing is that they were supposed to do in groups of 5. We were number 5. So we were trying to idle past all these boats, and everybody went at one time. It was a cluster. And so we decided, you know what? We're going to avoid this train wreck. And so that's what we did. Wasn't 5 minutes later, we were in this back area, and Ricky hooked into a jackfish. If you don't know what a jackfish is, that is a chain pickerel. We don't have pike here in Florida. We don't have any other members of that family except for a pickerel, which is a distant cousin to a pike. So it was big enough for Ricky to catch. I caught one that was rather small, and so I released it. It was caught pretty bad, but I went ahead and released it for Florida law, and it went back into the water. So I did not keep the small one, but the big one that Ricky caught, I did keep. I cleaned it and everything, and so it's going to good use. And if I catch another one, I may do a catch, clean, and cook on jackfish because they get a bad rap. But I didn't think that this video would be the one to do it with. So that's where we are with that. I just want to give you some, saw the jackfish, but I wanted to get a brief update on that. From there, really there wasn't a lot much more. Ricky did catch a bass, but the bass was not, it wasn't the legal size limit. It was like just hair under, and so therefore we released it. Shortly after he released it, he realized, wait a minute, it's still legal in the state of Florida to keep. We could have kept it and ate it. And Ricky believes, like I do, fillet and release. So this catch and release stuff, not really our thing. But anyway, let's go on with the next element of the video. Well, it is Coke and peanut time, folks. Bite and slow down. Going to make our way back up a little blue, and then we're going to head over to the I'm just going to give you a bit of a break right now. Back in the morning. Alright, so I'm going to stop right here, and I need to preface some things. I've always had a very low opinion of bass tournament anglers. And today's fishing on the river, it really only reinforced that negative opinion I've had. And so the term that I use is bass hole. So that is when you have a bass angler that is acting like a jerk. They're a bass hole. And so not only did we have them blow out before they were supposed to, not only did we have them where they were not abiding by the rules, but you have these guys that had these boats that they were so weighted down that the back end was almost submerged. The engine was so big, and their boats, they were so expensive that it was worth more than my house. And they'd be using a rod or reel that was more than what I make in a month. And it's crazy, and I'm glad that they got it. Don't get me wrong. I'm a capitalist. I'm happy that they're able to get it. I wish I was able to spend money on toys like that. I would be spending on bass stuff, but trust me, this channel would have some cool stuff that we'd be doing. But be that as it may, no matter if you have the stuff or not, you need to have values. And these guys would have these gigantic motors and just blow in doing like 60 miles per hour and then stop maybe 15 yards away from you to fish right next to you. And they would leave this wake that would have like a 6-foot wave coming up. And so I'm standing on this boat trying to fish. So it got kind of annoying after about the 4th or 5th time. And they were doing it constantly. And it's like, you got a whole river system. Why can't you just go somewhere? You see me fishing here. Why do you have to pull in on us? Why do you have to come in full force just to mess up our fishing? So those are glorified bass holes. And that was very aggravating. And so we had found this slough that you're about to see. And man, they just aggravated me to death. right here, we wouldn't have been able to get this boat in the other day. The other day when I came up in here, you could see the bottom. I was looking at the fish. Well, before I get to talking about the other part, I wanted to show you this. This was a gift that Ricky gave me. Wallace Knife Works makes a lot of knives, and they also he makes this right here. And so this has my name, and it has a bunch of little stamps on here. It has a panther, which Milton is the Florida Panther, or the Panthers. And it has a wolf, has an eagle, which that has significance to me, and a catfish that also has significance, and then a bass, and then the American flag, and you put my name there. Has a pair of really nice scissors, and has a lanyard. Some people don't like lanyards. I love lanyards. And it has a decent set of pliers. And I just want to talk about that because I really want to thank Ricky for that. If you want something like this, you can go to Wallace Knife Works and he'll make you one as well. It has a little belt clip. But getting back to the story. Alright, so there was a storm blowing in, and all the days leading up to this day had been just calm weather. I had been out the day before fishing, calm. So it was just a very nice week. And then the day of the tournament, overcast, and then the chance of rain kept increasing incrementally throughout the day. So you knew it was about to storm. And the wind was blowing and it was rough, and I think I lost, I would say 90% of my lures. And we spent so much time trying to get lures out of limbs and everything because we'd been blown around. It was crazy. So it was a bad time just because of the weather. During this time, this is the thing I don't understand about trolling motor companies. There's a little bitty clip. So everything on a trolling motor, on the good trolling motors, is stainless steel. And Ricky has a good trolling motor. But the clips that they put on the pin that holds everything together is not stainless steel. I don't know why. I don't know why they do that. It is nuts to think that a little piece of metal that costs less than a penny to produce, why not spend, if it was like a quarter of a penny to produce, why not spend half a penny and use stainless steel? I don't get it. I don't understand it, but they didn't use stainless steel, and because water rusts metal, and Ricky was fishing a lot, it rusted out, and that little clip popped. And it's amazing how a little bitty thing can cause such a huge problem. And so, before we even got started that morning, I didn't even tell y'all, the nav lights wasn't working. It took us a while to get the nav lights working. And now this clip, this little bitty piece of metal just breaks. And now we no longer have a trolling motor. And I think that really was where things kind of got going down. That we would get more disheartened. And so Ricky, being Ricky, his first thought is, let me tear apart my lure and we'll see if we can make this work. And so after he broke his lure, the one that he's catching all his fish on, because that's the type of guy Ricky is, he's like, we need it fixed, I'm going to fix it. And he had a plan, but it was just too thick. It wasn't big enough. So he needed something small. And so it was like, if we don't get it fixed, we're out of the competition. And the more time we spend on this, the less time we have to fish, which means we're going to be more out of the competition once it's fixed. And so I could see the look of concern on him. And just as a Hail Mary, I had some Aberdeen hooks that was in my audio-visual box. And so I fumbled around and got them and said, will this work? And sure enough, it worked. So the irony was just wonderful that, we were saying the whole time, we could have caught way more fish and have more fun if we'd not been bass fishing. And now the very thing that was holding this trolling motor together was the very hook that we used to do something that we would have enjoyed, but we couldn't because we were bass fishing. So it was kind of ironic on many levels, at least for us. But we got it together and we went on. So then we decided we was going to go to another river system. And by the time we got to that river system, the storm was coming fast. You could see the wind, and we tried fishing, and we just couldn't stay on stay locked in because the trolling motor, the boat was being pushed around. It was taking Ricky all he could do to keep things going the way he wanted to. And he couldn't fish, and so I was not where I could cast to where I thought we should be at, because he couldn't even get us there. It was all bad. It's not anybody's fault. It was just nature fighting us. And if you've ever been in a boat and nature's fighting you, you know who's in charge. It's nature, always. So that's where I had a Hail Mary. I had a rig on that was supposed to be for speckled trout, and so I just threw the lure behind the boat. He had the trolling motor. I knew that if I just kind of locked it up and not even reeled it, that the lure was going to have action from the boat, and I did nothing. So basically I was trolling, and sure enough, I was hooked up. So we're going to see that now. Alright folks, so this is a speckled trout. Really, the technical term is spotted sea trout. It is what we consider to be trout here in Florida. Ricky was trolling, and I decided, what the hey, this lure is meant for trout, and so I was just letting it troll behind the boat. And so we caught it. So this going into the cooler. Okay, so there's a size limit on specks, and that one was not the right size limit. There's another issue. I'm definitely allergic to speckled trout, and so Ricky was nice enough to dehook the fish for me, and we released it back into the wild unharmed. So again, the irony of this whole day, it was a comedy of errors. But I think what's so funny is the fact that the one fish that could kill me is the one I caught. So anyway, we decided we was going to go do some fishing. There was one other time that I did the trolling thing and I got hooked up, and it was so big that it popped off. Then we went. Ricky had already given up. He was dead. And really and truly, I was on team. I was on team. I'm very competitive, and I don't like being competitive, but I am. And the fact I hadn't caught a legal bass to place ticked me off. And so while Ricky was doing, in his video, doing the part where what we call the outro, where he's basically telling everybody we're done, thank you for watching, that whole deal YouTubers do sometimes. I'm casting, and there's this huge fish that blows up. So that only spurred it on for me, and poor Ricky had to deal with me trying to fish our way back. There wasn't really much going on. We left, we went up Blackwater, headed back, because by then we only had like maybe an hour and a half max before the weigh-in time. And that's when I hooked into something. And I was so focused on catching fish this day that I was not worried about creating content. I should have been more concerned about creating content. But one of the neat things was I threw at the bridge going back in, and I saw something blue. I'm like, what is that? And I hooked into it, and I was about to cut it off, and it finally gave loose. I hooked into a magnet. So I got some trash out of Blackwater River, so that's nice. And I always wanted one of the magnets. I never really cared about magnet fishing, but I wanted one of those magnets just in case I wanted to do some content. Now I've got a magnet for the channel, so the river gave us, I guess. And so now you're going to see the last part of it. So basically this has been not the best in the world for a fishing trip. We have got winds, storm clouds, fish haven't been wanting to bite. I've lost just about every lure that I had for doing this, which I spent a small fortune just getting ready for this competition. I've stayed in the trees and in the grass more than anything. You would think that I haven't fished a day before in my life. And it is getting close to 2 o'clock. We have no bass for the weigh-in. The only bass that we landed was one Ricky had caught earlier, and it was shy of the 12-inch minimum. So this is just a last-ditch effort. And again, you would think that I don't know how to fish. This is a last-ditch effort to try to catch something. Maybe something will happen. Not looking good. So we'll find out. See you in a minute. Well, folks, we didn't place anywhere. We got stumped. We had some fish that were not the legal limit or legal size, so we're gonna head out. Okay, so we didn't place. This was kind of an interesting competition. There were some bass that was caught. The biggest bass was a little over 4 pounds. And the most bass was caught by the same guy caught the biggest bass. So it was just shy of 15 pounds total. There were 24 boats entered in this competition. And I believe they said we're going to be able to feed around 150, maybe a little bit more from this bass tournament. And we'll be giving them Thanksgiving meals, the church will. Now there's been a lot of after tournament talks about the winner. The fact that no bass came close to being 4 pounds. There was some negative talks. I will say this. I hope that everyone that placed was honorable. If they're not, they're going to have to one day answer for it. And so I won't cast any aspersions on anybody's fortune. If it was all done honorable, great. I think it's funny though. Like I said, I have a low opinion of tournament anglers to begin with. only because I've only seen the bad things about them in my life. Because Florida is really the fishing capital of the world. And so one person told me that the local bass clubs, they have a rule where you have to, if you win, one of the three is going to have a lie detector test done. That's one of the things that they do. And I've noticed some people that they have tied up bass to docks to place in tournaments. And it's actually a known thing. And we just had a thing a while back that made national news. It wasn't here, but it was in another state, that guys were putting weights into bass. It makes me wonder why you would be involved in something where your honor and integrity will come into question. You know, I enter competitions all the time for different things. I enter mead competitions. I enter book writing competitions because I'm an author. The fact that if I ever had somebody question my integrity or my honor, I think I'd deck them. I mean, I really want to put a cap in somebody's boat when those bass holes blew nearby us and was causing a problem. I really wanted to cap the boat. So I can't imagine somebody saying, you know, I cheated in some way or fashion. And I can't imagine me being involved in something where cheating is considered to be a norm. I have a problem with that. I don't understand that. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I like to see the best in people, and I like to believe that everybody is honorable. But I worked in the court system for over 20 years. I held an elected office. I helped send a major party leader for the state of Florida to prison. And I was trying to take down the governor and about 30 other elected officials. And they had some higher up friends than I had. So I understand corruption. I understand that people do bad things. I've dealt with some bad people in my life. But I can't understand willingly doing something that's supposed to be fun and trying to defraud somebody. And that just blows my mind. So anyway, I'm going to end this here just because I had to get that off my chest. This will be my first, last, and only bass tournament. It was a great event. I am glad that they're helping people in the community. If they need help again, I will try to help them in any way, but I will not be participating. Next time I'm fishing, I'll be with my friends and we're just enjoying it. But this one right here told me I'm not a bass angler, not the bass angler like the tournament angler. I still fish for bass, but not that one. That's not who I am. Now, before all this got started, my wife, she's trying to stir up some stuff. And so she was asking Ricky who's going to make the better content. Well, I've seen Ricky's video already. He did the better content. So if you want a better view of how this day went, I would recommend you go to Wallace Knife Works. Go to his channel. I got a link down below to him. Yeah, go to that one. That was a fantastic video that he did. And you'll see that big basket, and you'll see some stuff that I left out. Ricky stayed true to creating content. He did a great job. I have to commend him. I had a great time, my buddy. I mean, you don't have much time on this rock, and you need to fill it with memories. And if you can fill it with memories of good friends and loved ones, that's what you should be focused on. And that's ultimately what this day is supposed to be about. And I think no matter what, we had a good time. And that's what you need to keep in mind, is have a good time with your friends. So I want to thank him personally for being the captain of this boat, bringing the boat and everything. It was awesome. I enjoyed it. And hopefully one day soon you'll see me and him together again, doing some just regular old fishing like we do, and just having a good time pairing up with it. So with that, I will see you again next time. Bye.